Preseason 13 is here, and as an ADC main, I'm not gonna lie, not very happy with the changes Riot have made, or let's say the lack of changes Riot have made to our role this season. I am gonna try and talk about what they have done and kind of how that relates to us going forward in terms of solo queue. But let's be real, they haven't really given us that much this year, guys. Not gonna lie. I don't want to sit here and lie to you and say that there's some secret stuff they've changed, because there ain't. They've changed one item, that's about it. But there are some stuff from other roles that maybe we could sort of use to our advantage, or sort of use to learn a bit more as well. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. But first, a little bit of stuff about me. I am a Jinx main that placed Diamond 1 last season, so not the highest rank, but also not the lowest rank, so I kind of feel like I'm in the middle ground of qualification, if that makes sense to talk about this, so I will try my best. I do stream as well on Twitch at least 3 times a week, so if you do want to go ask me any questions or just have a chat with me, the Twitch will be down below in the description. Please go check it out. And also, of course, subscribe and like the video, because I'm really trying to kind of grow on YouTube. I'm really going to give it my all, so yeah, any support would just go so appreciated. You have no idea. So yeah, enjoy the video and we'll get straight into the first change, which is Naovri Quick Blades. Now, as I'm sure you're all aware, the one big change our role saw was the change and buff to Naovri Quick Blades, which was a niche item, in Riot's words, last season that, not gonna lie, no one really built because it was just not as good as the other ADC items. You're only going to ever build this item sort of 4th or 5th, and let's be honest, you either needed a defensive item or something with a bit more oomph like a Bloodthirster, so no one really built it other than like Tryndamere, and obviously he's not even an AEC, so kind of a bit stupid, I'm not going to lie, but anyway. So the changes that Riot have made is kind of like the same as Infinity Edge, whereas if you have a minimum of 60% crit, so basically 3 crit items, including Naovri Quick Blades, you will gain sort of a mid-game buff, really, a mid-game power spike, similar to Infinity Edge. Now, you're not able to build Naovri and Infinity Edge, which, I mean, is fair enough. It would be pretty broken, because you would obviously build Naovri, then Infinity Edge, 3rd, 4th, or the other way around. So, it kind of makes sense, but we can dream that maybe one day they will, you know, read between the lines and give us a bit of a favour, but they probably won't, so Now, last season, Naovri provided you lower cooldowns on your non-ability ultimates when you critically striked. Now it's any strike, so normal strikes and critical strikes, that reduce the cooldown of your non-ultimate abilities when you have reached 60% critical strike, as I said before. And these abilities also do more damage the more critical chance you have, up to 20%. So I'm assuming that means that each crit item will give you 5% increased damage on your abilities as well, as obviously you build 6 items in total, one of them's being boots, so 5 into 20, you know what I mean? That kind of makes sense, right? So, wait, 5 into 20, what the hell's 5 into, 5 into 20 is 4, isn't it? Balls! 5 into 20 is 4, not 5? Oh shit, I got that the wrong way around. Anyway, I only got a B in maths, so yeah, I do apologise. Moving on to who this will actually benefit. You've obviously heard it's going to benefit Lucian, it's going to benefit Xayah. These champions that cast a lot of abilities and don't solely rely their damage output on just their auto attacks. Cough, cough, Jinx, cough, cough. That's why it won't really benefit Jinx, because obviously she's going to be auto attacking all the time. So you don't really need the lower cooldowns on your non-ultimate abilities, because you're just going to be lessening your damage output. So yeah, it's going to be very good on Lucian, Xayah, Kai'Sa, maybe Varus, maybe a few more as well if it sort of pops up. But it's basically acting as a substitute for Infinity Edge for basically 3 or 4 champions. So for a whole role, yeah, it's not that much, is it? But there are some other changes in other roles, especially jungle, that is also going to change the way we kind of look at certain matchups in the bot lane. So let's get straight onto that with the changes to Gromp. Ah, Gromp. It was so good to us for so long. You have no idea. This change is honestly one of the worst things I have seen in this game for a long time. For those of you who didn't really use this a lot, if you were on red side and you were into a very hard matchup that consisted of, let's say, a Caitlyn Xerath, or basically Caitlyn with any other mage support, or like lethality Varus, you know what I mean? Anything like that, you were able to use the downtime between, obviously, Caitlyn or Sivir shoving in a wave, and you was able to go to Gromp and actually get something and also get your health and mana back as well. So it didn't really cost you anything, and it was always kind of worth it, especially if your support tanks Gromp damage. Now that Riot have removed that healing, these matchups are going to be way more obnoxious than they have been before. And bro, they were obnoxious as hell before. So now I'm genuinely going to consider rage quitting if I see that I'm against a Caitlyn Zorath. I honestly, if you play these champions, hey, you're going to get high rank this season, lads. You're going to get a high rank this season because you can't use Gromp anymore. You're not going to go smite and get the jungle little, you know, cretin, whatever you want to call him, so you can, you know, get the healing. No one's going to do that, okay? You're going to be stuck under tower with 2 HP. You're either going to get dove, you've not got Gromp to go get a bit more HP back. You're going to have to recall and give up 5 waves or die and miss the 5 waves. So yes, it's not great, really, for some people, but it's also really great for some ADCs who do play these sort of lanes. So, yeah, do of that what you will. Maybe, honestly, maybe become a Sivir main, I'm not gonna lie, or a Caitlyn main, because it genuinely might get to that stage. I think if you're gonna play this now, yeah, it's done. It's done. Anyway, moving on to what I find really interesting and kind of a little bit of a theory. I'm not sure if I'm right in saying this. As I said, I'm not the most qualified, but the XP changes. So, to me, when I saw these XP changes, I was like, okay, so solo XP is getting a buff, and duo shared XP is getting not really changed that much, but it just sort of looks like a little bit of a nerf. And obviously, it was a bit worrying for ADCs because we're basically having that gap between us and top lane widened. So if a Fed ADC is going to try and take over the game versus a Fed top laner who's trying to take over the game, that gap now is wider because obviously the top laner is going to have more base stats because he's by chance going to be a higher level. To me, I kind of got worried at first, but then I looked at it again and thought, so you know when you are watching these guides on pro guides or skill caps, and when it gets to about a mid or late game, they sort of say, listen, piss off to your team, okay? Get solo XP, get solo farm, just abandon them until you get 3-4 items. Now, I would use this advice, and it would work pretty well. What I'm going to say to you all out there is run with this advice, because if you think about it, okay, if it's a percentage increase, that's going to benefit levels with more XP in them. And obviously, the higher level you get in League, the more XP is in a singular level, if that makes sense. So if this was a flat increase, that would benefit the early levels, but since it's a percentage increase, it's going to benefit the later levels, if that makes sense. A little bit, as I said, got to be in maths. So it could be right, it might not be right, but I'm going to run with it because it's my brilliant theory, okay? What I'm basically saying to you is when it gets to mid-game, late game, say bye-bye to your support, okay? Because you're going to need to get that solo XP to catch up. But what I'm saying is you should be able to catch up quicker, especially if you're in the lower elos, because obviously everyone groups up. So if you're getting solo XP, you're going to be catching up and possibly getting ahead way quicker than last season, because it is a little bit of a buff for solo XP, like I previously said. So, again, do with that information what you will. As I said, might not be fully right, but from what I've noticed, I kind of see it a little bit in my games. I'm not going to lie. Once I get to mid-game, late game, where I'm catching waves top, then mid, then bot on my own, I am getting a little bit more XP, and I quite like that. So, yeah, bear that in mind, and let me know what you guys think. Comment down below. Maybe I'm just chatting a load of bullshit. I'm not saying this is definitely the way to do it, or I'm saying I'm definitely right. It's just something that popped into my head, so yeah. Enjoy that information. Now, just to end the video off with a little bit of general information, obviously, since tanks are being buffed, you may be seeing more tanks in your games, so just bear in mind you'll probably be building Kraken Slayer more often than Gale Force. And also, please, for the love of God, remember to build Lord Dominic's Regards pretty early on. We're talking third item here, maybe second item for some champions, but definitely by fourth item, you've got to have Lord Dominic's in about, I'd say, 95% of games. Let's be honest, there's going to be a champion on the enemy team who's abusing these new tank items with all this armor and all this resistances and shit that we gotta break down, boys. Gotta break down, okay? We one-shotting those tanks. We burning those tanks alive, okay? And also, I will talk about Zeal items a little bit as well. I am a Jinx main, so this is kind of coming from my perspective, but the way I see it is if you're against champions that all have a similar range, so for example tanks, if you're against like 3 tanks, for example, in a game, I would probably recommend going Ruined Hurricane more than Phantom Dancer, but this is very, very game dependent, and it does depend on what champion you're playing. It doesn't apply to all ADCs. It will apply to a couple more than Jinx though as well, so just bear it in mind. You may want to go Ruined Hurricane a little bit more than Phantom Dancer. All I'm saying is think about it a little bit more. If we are starting to see a tank meta now where you're getting a tank in jungle, top, and possibly even support, then these games are so good for Ruined Hurricane, you have no idea. But anyway, I think that's me done now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have made it this far into the video, you have no idea how much that means to me. You're an absolute king. If you want to go support me, please go subscribe. And as I said, the Twitch is down below. I've also got a Discord that I'll put down below as well. Have an amazing day wherever you are, or amazing night, whatever, amazing morning. I will catch you all in a bit. And in a bit, lads.